Hello and welcome to the shipyard. Hanging out. It's my birthday, and that was my phone telling me that I was live on YouTube. Um, so I don't really have any particular notion of what we're talking about today. I just wanted to hang out and say, "Hey, stuff's going on." I really didn't want to make a video last night because I was at game night. I was playing Gloomhaven, and that's a really long campaign RPG game, a really fun game. And I was like, hey, that's just had other things going on. So, but we're here now. This is Attack Wing. This is a gaming channel, and yes, another solar navigation. The sun is, well, the sun's where it always is. The Earth is, well, where it is on June 1st. Uh, Almost halfway through a year cycle, give or take, because those pesky leap days, leap seconds, all those fun things that we have to do to account for, not perfect breakdowns of solar motion and planetary rotation and all that good stuff that's way more science than I want to go into on this channel, because while I do have a math degree, I do not have a science degree, and I'm not an expert, and I've learned to not uh, go live on things where I'm not, uh, well, I was going to say not an expert on, but I don't know that I'm quite an expert on Star Trek Attack Wing. At least I don't have the competitive pedigree to be an expert. And my local players will tell me that I'm far from an expert because they beat me soundly on a regular basis. And, well, yeah, yet I'm the one that's going to nationals as their best hope to win. Uh, Something like that. Will, are you trying to be Bajoran 28 hours a day? Like, yes, that's how delayed the stream is from chat, by the way. Um, but yeah, uh, so there was a little bit of bad news today. Yeah, thanks, WizKids, for the birthday bad news. The ship packs that were scheduled for July are now coming in August. Not a surprise. I'm of the notion that, hey, you know what? It's better that they come out late and that they're right than that they're rushed. I would rather have product that comes out when it's ready than rushing things to meet an arbitrary deadline. Much of this game was rushed to just meet deadlines, that it wasn't quality product. Uh, I don't need to start pointing everything out, but the Kiana Prime is like example one. It came out one wave before they introduced time tokens, and if that pack waited 1 month, it would have had time tokens, and it would have been just a little bit more playable. I don't know that it would have been everything playable, but it would have been far more playable. And if nothing else, it would have been far more thematic. But they said, oh, no, 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 no. We got to release it because we announced it. We can't wait. And we got what we got. I I don't want to rant. It's my birthday. It's happy. It's good times. It's a good day. The sun's shining. It's not like 100 degrees, but uh, yeah, Potera. Yeah, if I point out everything WizKids has done wrong in the past, Uh, well, I'll lose my voice before, but that's where other people can join me in chat, and they can start pointing out things. And yeah, if you want to learn, just like listen to every State of the Federation, every Warp Core breach, watch every video I've put on the shipyard, listen to every back episode of Red Maneuvers, Gaming on Rura Penthe, and Red Maneuvers. And if you do that, I think that might take you a year. I think there's enough content, recorded content for this game, that it will now take a year to do. I think I'm up over 300 videos on the shipyard. Now, not all of them are Star Trek Attack Wing related, but most of them are. I mean, everything except some, a small handful of board gaming videos, and my top 100 board games are Attack Wing videos, which, I consider a pretty monumental thing. But so I'll talk about the shipyard because it is June. I am going to do a little restructuring. Even you've kind of noticed it this week. Things got messed up a little bit. That was due to Memorial Day and holiday weekends kind of change things up. But get the cheese to sick bay. I am going to change format a little bit. I'm done going through like Federation Crew and doing that as a whole episode because those are getting really long. I feel like a lot of it's really repetitive. So I am going to start doing like either a theme, a one or two crew, and that's like if they share the same ideas. So I might do some Fed crew that are on ganking. So like the Marla Gilmore, the Noah Lessing, those type crew. I am going to do a Get the Cheese to Sick Bay on fixing photon torpedoes. And that, I think that holds a little bit more interest. I'm going to be doing more top 10s because those get a ton of views. And I'm not doing everything just for views, but I really enjoy doing top 10s. They force me to find good things. They get people talking, and I love community interaction more than anything else. And I get more interaction on top 10 videos than any other videos. So I want that kind of interaction. I'm not fixing Type 8 phasers. If anything, you wouldn't like my fix to Type 8 phasers. They'd become unique. There, I fixed it. Nobody likes it. I'm the meanie. Thank you, Bismarck, for the well wishes. I appreciate it. I really do. So okay. So Botera, you say Get the Cheese to Sick Bay is your favorite. From what I'm saying, has that have I kind of reassured you that I'm still going down a path where I'm going to repair things, have a series, but do it in a different way? So I'm not axing the series. I'm just changing the way I do things. I mean, I'm gonna try things, and if it doesn't work, I'll shift back. What I may do is some like fix the pack. So I will probably do an episode where I fix the Romulan fighters, the Scorpion fighters, because I think I can do that as an episode. Talk about that all in one, and say, here, this is how I would change everything that's in that pack. kind of like what I did with the Delta Flyer. I did a review and a fix episode. Um, the other thing, I really want to start like binging through reviews because I want to I want to get caught up on reviews. I want to have every ship that's currently in the game reviewed before the new stuff hits. That's a really ambitious schedule, but I think if I put out 2 reviews a day, I can make that happen. Now that's a lot of content. I will probably burn out at some point, but the thing is, with the lack of OPs, there's nothing new to talk about. Between now and August, whenever the ships and the OP kit drop, the only thing new that's going to happen is Nationals and Worlds. Like, that's it. And, um, venues are going to do their things, and that's cool. Nick and I have been working on some unofficial OPs, and we like where they're going. We're going to release it. We're going to release it very soon. I'll give you guys a spoiler. We're going to Kelvin verse because it's something that's not done and not likely to be done by WizKids. So we wanted to say, hey, let's do something different. And I know that's weird. I know it's, some people are going to balk at it, but uh, we are trying to do something that makes for a good event on the tabletop. So I will say, judge us by the work we put into setting up an event to be competitive, to be well done, rather than the source material. Because to me, when I play an event, I want to feel like I'm involved in the event, like the event gives me a reason to engage with it rather than just set up a joust. And I care more about that than necessarily the episode nature. Um, and yes, Bismarck, I am planning the Ningtao and the Krenim weapon ship. Those are all coming. Like I said, everything's coming. They are all on the schedule. Let me see if I can pull up my schedule here. I've just got a sheet with everything. Um, it's here. I can do this. I will even just share it. Okay, so here's the order, and things are kind of color coded. So, Chitang, Voyager, Ratag, Kalindra, Troll Ship, Karaga, etc. There's the Kiana Prime. The Ning Tao is down there. So that's like a rough order. I can move things around. Like, everything can be shifted. I'm just trying to have things where I want them. I've been saving Cube 1112. I wanted to get the scenario played for it, and I'm finally going to get to do that in July. So that will probably get shifted as well, just because I want a chance to play that, because I feel that my review of that as a whole is based more upon um, the missions than what necessarily comes with it. So, eh, that that's where I'm at. Um, you know, if anything, I'm trying to say, hey, I do have a method. I do plan everything way ahead of time, and I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants here. Yeah, so but Tara brings up a great point that uh, in Voyager they said a couple of plasma charges could destroy the Krenim weapon ship's hull, but because of the temporal shields that it had, uh, you just couldn't get through it. The problem with having a super low hull is that if you run into a ship running like Chronoton torpedoes, or even something like Bioship Omega Pilot or Matt Decker that can do hull damage regardless of shields, it's a dead duck. Uh, and then furthermore, like projected stasis field just ignores shields. Now you could give it an ability, sorry, an ability like the big cube where nothing can affect the shields, that it has to take shield damage first. But that just feels like more of a problem than anything. Okay, fine. Yeah, Chronoton should wreck it. I grant you that, because then you're using its own weapon against it. But uh, so even if it has like two hull, well then it's like the scout cube, and you know, two shots from Decker. I don't want that. The- That just feels bad. Plus, then it can use low hull abilities like improved deflector screens. And I don't know that I want that either. So, yeah, there's a line. There's a see, WizKids uses hull value to determine their size of the ship rather than durability of the ship, but then hull is based on how durable something is because it's how much it can withstand damage. And yeah, it's this, it has two meanings, but it doesn't allow for you to interact with it in that way. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So immune to all of those effects while the shields are up. Yeah. So even like a Decker or Bioship Omega Pilot would do damage just to the shields rather than the hull. That would make sense. I would I could buy that. You could make that its named ability. But yeah, it doesn't fix the low hull point upgrade issue. So uh yeah, okay. And so that's the point. Temporal shields prevent effects. We need theme. Theme should exist in the game, but the game is ultimately an abstraction, right? As much as most of us love Star Trek, but I say most of us, I feel like anyone who's left playing this game after 3 years almost loves Star Trek. Whether you love Star Trek first and you got into the game, or you got into the game and because of it, you're like, oh, hey, Star Trek. I know my buddy Craig, he's in the chat, I think. He was at the beginning. Uh, he was not a big Star Trek fan, but he watched me play some during the Blind Booster tournament. And he got into it and he saw the mechanics and he was like, hey, yeah, this looks fun. And he got into it. He didn't know much Star Trek, but he got to like Star Trek a bit. He's not the most knowledgeable Star Trek guy, but he's a gamer first and a Star Trek guy second. But he can play. And I bring that up to say most of us like Star Trek and we like the theme. And it's something we want. We want these cards to represent theme. We want ships to be thematic. We don't always want to play thematically, but we want the option to bring the theme in whenever we want. It's why at the beginning of the game, when the Galaxy class came out, right, starter set, right, and the Enterprise D has the 360. We're like, okay, hey, yeah, that's cool. That's what the Enterprise D has. But then we're like, but wait, all Galaxy class ships can fire 360. That's just a feature of the Galaxy class. So why is that special to the Enterprise D? And that doesn't make sense. So I Oh, okay. So Will, he did actually see X-Wing, and he didn't like the lack of card combos. He didn't like the dice luck of it. He was actually on board with some of the things you thought about it and think about it, and that it's a little too dicey. And I'm not here to bash X-Wing. I don't want to go down that road. I'm not starting that. I'm not going there. Um, I am just saying he likes the fact that you can combo in Attack Wing and build things to say, hey, this is my thing. And he likes piloting. Like, don't get me wrong. He's not one to just say, oh, I got to joust. He has really good spatial reasoning, and he is one of the better pilots that I've seen. Yeah, well, you two would get along if you can ever make it out to California. You two would have fun. I mean, look at any of my live play videos, any of my tournament videos, and if you see Craig, you will see his play style. You will see his build styles. I mean, the build I'm taking to nationals is partly inspired by him. So, not entirely, but yeah, it's crazy. And no, I'm not talking about my nationals build. I am not giving anyone a sneak peek at that. That is my secret. Sorry, I got to have my secrets here. I was going to run reverse course at nationals, and then well, that whole thing happened. Anyways, so somebody on Facebook could ask me to talk about my favorite OP build, or like my main OP idea, and then how I modify it for tournaments. And here's the thing. I don't have like a go-to OP build. I kind of build every OP from scratch. I look at the scenario and I say, okay, what can I do to make this scenario work? And I certainly have like main cards that are good that I go to, but that's because there's only so many good cards in this game. Um, it's kind of been said that there's, probably 50 to 100 cards that you should have memorized. I say memorized in quotes. And then another probably 2 to 300 that you should be at least aware of. And after that, anything else you can kinda look at and go, "Eh, I don't need it, but I could maybe make it work." And that's where I'm at. I'm probably taking about 400 different cards with me to nationals. And from that, I can build probably 30 builds. Now, I don't need anywhere near that many builds, but I'm bringing the cards I need so I can run side events and I can just do crazy stuff. Um, but yeah, that's where like Tucker's 300 comes in, and it's where my grading project is coming along. Where these cards that are getting D's and F's, they're not coming with me to nationals because they don't measure up. They're just not worth the points in a fleet. And it's sad, but it's true. So, yeah, somebody talked about putting the ambassador class into the game, and how do you make that work? Is there stat room between the nebula and the galaxy? And the answer is not really, but it's worse than that. It's also the Excelsior because the Excelsior has the 3 dice, the 9 total durability, and the 180 arc. The Nebula and the Galaxy go up to 4 dice. So Nebula has 4 dice and 7 durability, generic. 8 named. So we'll talk about named. So they're 4/1/4/4s. And then Galaxy class are 4/1/5/4s. So there really is no room between a nebula and a galaxy. And then Excelsior is 3/1/5/4. And the ambassador class, I think this is why we haven't seen the ambassador class, specifically the C. What do you do differently? Because it's not maneuver dial, it's not firing arc. Uh, right, I believe the ambassador class moved kind of like the Excelsior or even the Nebula. It's not going to have 2 and 3 white turns. Uh, I guess you could have it move like the Galaxy, which is only 1 set of turns, 2 or 3. Have it do like 4 and 5 straight, 1 and 2 backup. That's possible, but I don't know that they'll go that way. Uh, I don't know. It's I think at this point, we'd just be fine putting the ambassador class in the game to have a freaking ambassador class because it's awesome. And then you say, "Oh, okay, I don't care that it shares a stat line. Just give me something different." Named abilities are cool, and I think it has to have 3 attack dice. I don't think it can have 4. 4 is Galaxy and Nebula, and they have 4 dice because they are the modern fighting ship in TNG. And from there, I don't know, maybe it gets 2 defense dice, and that would be unprecedented, but maybe you could get away with that. Maybe that's how you make it different. That's the only thing I can say, is give it like a 3-2-4-4 or 3-1-5-3. I mean, that could work too. But 2 defense dice on a 5-hole ship sounds more like a Romulan thing than a Fed thing. Um, I don't know. I I have high hopes that when they come out with a Federation faction pack, that the Ambassador class will be in it. It it's the one ship class that everybody wants. I know we've got like the Norway class, the Steamrunner class. Those are two that we can say, yeah, we'd like those. That would be fine. Uh, oh, Will, that's a great point. According to Natasha Yar, during the 2340s, the Ambassador class had a, quote, lot more maneuverability than the Romulan counterparts of that era. And the Romulan counterparts of that era had 2 defense dice. Well, we believe. We don't actually have Romulan ships from that era, but we'll say that. And if you give it 3-2 and then some amount of hull and shields, it's playable, I think, especially with 3 dice and the Type 8 upgraded shenanigans. Although, who knows? The new rules may completely change that. I don't know. I really don't know. I am not part of the playtest team. Although, even if I was, I couldn't tell you guys. But I'm not part of the playtest team. I think if I was, I'd be more cagey about it. Um, oh, that's actually a good point. You could give the Enterprise C, the Ambassador class, a come about. That would be different. It would be really unprecedented, but it would be different. White turns would help too. Yeah. Will, I do know for a fact that someone is part of the playtest team. I do have somebody that talks to me. I don't know very many specifics, but I do know that someone is part of a playtest team. Yes, okay. So the Galaxy has a bad maneuver dial because it was the first ship that came out and they just didn't know any better. Um yeah, well, Botero, I can't give you proof because I don't have proof outside of the ways that I have contact, which I'm not going to divulge because this is live and I can't edit anything. Um, but I don't want to get anyone in trouble. Uh, but so here's the thing. I submit, and I think Will still agrees with me, the Intrepid class Voyager has a worse maneuver dial than the Galaxy. Yes, everything on it is white or green, but it's still a worse maneuver dial. It doesn't have the most important maneuver in the game, one straight. Uh, yes, a battle, a a battle bridge, a saucer separation galaxy would be fantastic. I know people have modded them because there's a micro machine that actually comes apart and does that. Uh, and that's fantastic to watch. Yeah. There's a reason people have stopped playing Voyager for the most part. And it's not just that Meg charges and Nanclis kill it. It's that they finally realized that the maneuvers are terrible. Uh, I picked apart a Voyager with the Enterprise A. That was my last like really good fight, and I picked it apart. The scan tokens, I just whittled away. And they had Sulu for an action, and they had Hood Riker passive, and I even think they had DeSoto captaining it for defense rerolls. So they're getting 5 dice plus 3 conversions, except they're only getting 4 defense dice because I've got the scan. But I've got more attack dice, and I'm just chipping away. Uh, yeah, Bismarck. I think that the ambassador should have a better maneuver dial than the Nebula. Who knows that it? Who knows what they'll give it? But the Nebula dial is terrible. Well, it's not terrible, but it's not great. It's right. It's up there. It's 2 turns white, 3 turns red. It's got a 1 reverse. So you'd either have to give the ambassador 2 and 3 white turns, or give it a 1 turn. But they're not going to give it a 1 turn because they didn't give the Defiant a 1 turn. And you can't give the ambassador class a 1 turn. 1 turns like science vessels, fighters, Bajoran interceptors. That's the kind of stuff that has 1 turns. So yeah, I know. 1 turn is 1 turn is one of the best maneuvers in the game. And Botero, I'm with you. I played X-Wing for like what, 2 years before Attack Wing came out, and I even played some X-Wing during the first bit of Attack Wing. I played up until the uh, store championship season. What was the prize that year? The first dice bag championship, if that makes any sense, time wise. It was also acrylic range ruler was the top 4 prize. Yeah, and 1 turn is why Admiral Forrest is one of the top admirals in the game. Uh, um, I'm forgetting where I have him. Yeah, it's why he's my top admiral. I don't always run him, but I love him as an admiral. Uh, yeah, my top admirals still haven't changed. It's Forrest, then Decker, then Gowron, then Worf. I mean, Worf has power. Worf's still ridiculously good, but what you have to do to make him work in terms of sacrificing ships and running a fleet to make him work is tricky, whereas Forrest just works on anything. And that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So the problem with trying to do Attack Wing versus X-Wing is that the points just don't line up. And even if you try to do uh, X-Wing based on Attack Wing points, it still doesn't line up because their pilot captain is built in, and we don't have a great way of measuring that. We can guesstimate a lot of skills, right? 9 skill is a 6-point card and all of that. But we're not even consistent. And I I like to say that 100 points in X-Wing is probably about 120, 130 in attack wing. So, if you're willing to play with that scale, um, then it's okay. But the other thing is just the insane dice you can throw in attack wing. The X-Wing ships can't stop it. Uh, yeah, and uh, see, I'm starting to go. I'm gonna see. This goes back into my dream world. I just so want the Defiant to be able to barrel roll, do all of its loop de loops and that stuff, and I want the crazy maneuvers that X-Wings come out with. I want the do a bank and come about. So, do like a 3 bank and 180, and of course, that's a red maneuver, but I want stuff like that. Even if it's gotta be an elite talent or a modification. I want modifications in our game. I want stuff that can go on any ship or types of ships, things that are like hull 4 plus or hull 3 or less or primary weapon 4 plus, and you just give stuff like that. It would so drastically change the game, and yes. Okay, use the TIE fighter dial for the Defiant. Yes, but which one? The, like, episode 4, 5, 6 TIE fighter or the episode 7 TIE fighter? That's the real question. Um, and it's, okay, the First Order TIE fighter. Yes. Okay, we're in agreement there. And, see, this is the kind of stuff that we just, uh thank you, Tidy Ships. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Um, so a while back, like over November, December, when the game looked really bleak and it looked like WizKids was done with everything, Nick and I were really starting to um, plan the continuing committee, and that's a direction we'll take eventually. When WizKids is done with the game, because I still believe in this game. Uh, Long after it's done, I believe that people will play Star Trek Attack Wing because it's fun, and I think that people will pull out the game and play missions finally, because apparently people say, "Oh yeah, Attack Wing has missions and we love the missions," but nobody actually plays the missions. Or if they do, they don't talk about them. And I don't get that. I don't. I just don't understand that. Um, anyways, I digress. Um, but I believe that people will continue to play this game, and they will say, "Hey, here's what's going on. Here's stuff that we're doing." And they're going to want more stuff. There will be a community that wants the rest of Star Trek stuff in the game. They will want more Hirogen ships, more Vidian ships, more they'll want the Shellyak, they'll want the was it the Voth city ships in Voyager, they'll want the Nausicaans. They will just want every crazy little thing. And they'll want every character that exists in the game, because that will be the thematicism of Star Trek. And when you can have a game that is as thematic as it can possibly be in terms of the options you can put on the table, and then you can mix and match however you want in whatever way suits your heart's content on your kitchen table, and nobody tells you what's right or wrong. And that's where I'm at, because I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. Then that is how things are fun. And why not? I've said it before, but it bears repeating, and it's my birthday. I'll repeat myself all I want. Star Trek Attack Wing is the greatest holodeck simulation of Star Trek we've ever seen. It is the best. What would happen if in the world? And why not? That was my take. The first time I heard about the game, I was like, oh, hey, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, oh, I could pit Picard's Enterprise against Kirk's Enterprise. Oh, yeah, that would be cool. But then I went, oh, wait, what would happen if Picard had control of a Romulan D'Deridex? And then what would happen if Kirk was on the Enterprise D? And what would happen if those two had to face off like that? And that was really interesting to me. Or then it was like, hey, what if Picard was on a Romulan ship and Tomalak was on the Enterprise, and then Tomalak was a terrible card. So then I had to change my hopes and dreams and shift Tomalak to be Toreth, because Toreth was actually a decent captain. And, again, that was interesting to me. But I understand that wasn't as interesting to other people. And so I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong, but to me, it was fun. And so, you play and you create these options. And, why not have as many options as we could possibly have? And why not create every single character we ever saw on Star Trek that was relevant to anything that anyone would ever want? I mean, Mott, the barber, should be a card in the game. Morn should be a card in the game, just because they existed and somebody has an affinity for them. And you put them in play and you say, hey, today I'm running Mott. Why? Because I feel like it. You do that, everybody has fun. And it's a game. It's a game. Yeah, okay, so all of that, and Botero, you bring up a great point. Separate captain cards are great in that you can mix and match, but they create game balance problems. And yes, that's true. I pointed out a great option in that you can put anybody on any ship and you can say, hey, what goes on? But then the problem is you can put anybody on any ship, and there's no way, absolutely no way, you could play test to find any kind of balance. Like, there's no semblance of balance in play testing because you cannot possibly cover every single avenue that exists. And um, but so here's the trade-off though. By allowing captains to go wherever you want, you strengthen things. You find the place where they're good, right? Janeway is a terrible captain for Voyager because there's too many Ox power tokens going around. Right? Voyager's named ability creates Ox, Janeway creates Ox, too many Ox. It just wouldn't work. But Janeway's a great captain for Kirk's Enterprise because the ship doesn't care about Ox. And if Janeway was restricted to being on an Intrepid class vessel, maybe even Voyager herself, then we never would have seen that kind of an interesting combo. Or even a powerful combo. We would have seen a worthless captain card. We would have seen the equivalent of um the second pilot on the TIE Advanced pack, the one that says when you land a crit, you draw 2 damage cards and choose which one to give. I know that's an X-Wing pilot, but it just wouldn't do anything. And I'm not I'm not trying to say that they test well. If anything, I'm saying they need more testing. They need more testers. They need more people to look at things and say, "Hey, what's going on here? This is a problem. This creates a potential problem. Wait, this is a problem. We can't do this." Uh, but I if captains were faction if captains were faction locked or ship locked, not even faction locked, ship locked, then we wouldn't have the creativity. What I would have loved would have been to have captains get a bonus for being on their ship. So on each captain card, have some kind of a line of text or even just their ship name printed on them. And then if you run that captain on that ship, you get some kind of a bonus. An extra shield, an extra attack die, an extra bump in captain skill. There's things that could have been done to make captains better. Um, and then it gives you a reason. Maybe it still makes the captain not worth playing on that ship. But maybe there's times where I'm looking at it and I'm going, huh, I really want to run Picard 8. Picard 8 on the Enterprise E isn't that bad. Versus like Picard 8 on Prometheus. Like, if that's my choice, I'll run Picard 8 on the Enterprise E because I get this passive bonus. And okay. Like, why not? The problem is that's something you have to do from the beginning. And unfortunately they didn't do that. So I will say years down the road, or a year, whenever WizKids gives up the game, look for the continuing committee to do something with that. Um, so I'm giggling here because live chat is talking about Voyager and coffee with the nebula and Janeway and stressing everything out. And oh, you guys are awesome. That you guys are making me smile and laugh, and I'm trying to focus and make a point, and I'm just like reading all the chat as I'm making my point. I'm having a hard time focus, but I love you guys. You guys are fantastic. You guys are the reason I keep doing everything, because even when I'm having a bad day, and I'm not having a bad day today, I'm having a great day, but even when I'm having a bad day, you guys are there, and I know I can get away from my bad day for a little bit and talk Star Trek and just be in a better place. So you guys, even on the tough comment days, and even on the days where I mess up the edits and everything just goes wrong, but you guys are just uh, I couldn't ask for better people to be around the shipyard. You guys are fantastic. I I just I am grateful. I am grateful that you guys stick with me through everything. So I I, I'm going personal. I'm speaking from the heart here. I I'm lucky. Uh okay, yes, we need a coffee in that nebula OP. I'm convinced of that. That would be a fantastic OP to have. Gather coffee, get coffee mission tokens. Somebody can make little coffee cup PDF token. Uh, it would be great. It would be, you got to go in, you got to mine, you got to spend actions to do it, and then there's combat over the coffee because there's a limited supply of coffee. Uh, and then Neelix is the participation card. It's not a resource for that event. You get Neelix. That would be a thing, right? I don't know how many people were around for Arena and Thulian Web, but those were the events where you got full alert and red alert just for showing up. And then even back during Dominion War, I think it was OP3 or 4, you got the red shirt card just for showing up. Now, none of those were any good, but they were there. See, so the funny thing is, I'm not a very much of a coffee drinker. I may have talked about this before, but I for a while I could not stand the taste of coffee. I'm like, way too bitter. But for Christmas, my sister got a Keurig, and I'm slowly learning to like different flavored coffees. I'm still a wimp when it comes to coffee. I got to have creamer. I don't put sugar in it because I've got creamer, but uh, I drink coffee like one time a month, and it's before I go to an OP because I never get enough sleep. I'm a night owl, as you guys kind of know from my posting schedule. Um, I'm not always up that early or late, depending on how you want to view it. But uh, I do not get enough sleep before OPs, and I need coffee. I need caffeine. And so the nice thing is, because I'm not a caffeine addict, the caffeine does actually wake me up and energize me and allow me to focus. And so one cup is pretty much all I need. And then it's like an hour and a half drive to get to my OP in the Bay Area. And by the time I get there, I'm good to go. So I get up, eat breakfast, and I'm good. Um, but that's pretty much the only time I drink coffee, because I know if I drink it anymore, it would start having a lesser effect on me. Um, But yes, so, but a coffee OP would be very fitting for me because I drink coffee before my OPs, and I laugh when I see people at OPs drinking like 3 cups of coffee. I'm like, "How do you guys focus? How do you guys get through a normal work day?" It's like, how many cups of coffee are you drinking then? But they are Saturday OPs. I suppose people could be out late on a Friday and have even less sleep than me. Although I don't know how that's possible. There have been days where I have not slept going into an OP, and then yeah, those are days where I've gone like 1 and 2. Uh, there was a no sleep day I went 2 and 1 and barely lost the game I lost. But anyways, uh, oh yeah, well I like that idea. Plug and play expansions. Um, Meaning you take a mechanic idea, make that the kind of the focus of the expansion, and so if you don't like the mechanic, you don't have to use it. So and that makes it easier if we end up breaking that mechanic in some way, or the mechanic just doesn't work, we can say, about that expansion, just get rid of it all. And if we do end up having a card that works from the expansion, we just release it later. And we say, "Hey, that one, it did work, so it's back." But we can just axe an entire expansion. That makes it a lot easier. Uh, but I don't want to focus too much on a continuing committee for a game that still exists. That is really like the epitome of doom and gloom. But there was a time when we thought that WizKids was done with the game. Uh, anyways, on other news, so Modifius Entertainment is coming out with the Star Trek Adventures roleplay game, and they're starting pre-orders next week, and I am super excited for this. I'm not a huge role player. I've done like one campaign, and that was in college, which wasn't all that long ago, but it was still like 7, 8 years ago. And that was Greek mythology, which was very interesting to me. I played Daedalus. Um, but I know Star Trek a lot better than I know Greek mythology. So uh, I am going to be pre-ordering the big like collector edition, everything you need in a box, and I am going to be running the game with my friends, and we're going to put our experience up on the channel. I may I may figure out a way to do stuff online. I don't know. Um, the logistics of that are messy, but if I figure it out, it would probably be something I'd run next year. Uh, so 2018. Uh, but when I do, uh, I would certainly be interested in having people around just to tell stories and hang out. Like that's the really cool thing. And it kind of depends on how well everything goes with my actual game group. Um, and we'll see what the interest is on the channel. But I know that Hangouts on Air works really well for groups, and even we don't have to do it live. Although live for an audience is kind of amusing to me too. Um, but I think it would be fun to have a group of people just to play this. And I know Geek and Sundries said that they're going to do a campaign because it's Will Wheaton and the Star Trek connection there. And of course they're doing that. But that's just one story. That's one ship. That's one crew doing their thing. And there's nothing wrong with another group of people telling their story and another group of people telling their story. And it's Star Trek. That's my thing. I will get invested into just about any Star Trek game. Like, you tell me it's Star Trek, I will give it a chance. It's why Star Trek Ascendancy is really cool for me. It's why Star Trek Fleet Captains, which came out before Star Trek Attack Wing, was really cool for a while. And then WizKids didn't support it, and then I was done. I still have it. I'm just like, you don't support it, so I'm not going there. So I want to play Star Trek Panic. That's definitely on my to play list while I'm at Origins. Yeah, I will say. So if you guys are going to Origins, I know you guys will probably want to be playing Star Trek Attack Wing with me. But beyond that, if you're interested in playing board games and you want to play board games with me, you're a lot more likely to get me to play a board game with you, because I'll have time for that. And I want to do that beyond just playing Attack Wing. I will sit down and play quick plays. But some of that's going to be random who I get matched up with. Actually, I think all of that's going to be random who I get matched up with. But if you want to get in a game with me, then you're going to have a good chance. Like I have 2 absolute set commitments. I am playing in Nationals for Attack Wing, and I am playing a game of Cosmic Encounter. Like, those were the 2 things I wanted to get done. Yes. So Botera is talking about Star Trek Panic, and oh geez. So he's saying it plays out like the show. They just repaired the ship, gotten it moving again towards the base to repair, and then a comet comes out, destroys the base, damaged their ship, and it couldn't move again. And yep, I would be really frustrated. That sounds about right. That sounds like an episode of Enterprise, more so than like Next Gen or Deep Space Nine. Could be an episode of Voyager. You know, nothing seemed to go right there either. But hey, you won in the end, so that's the cool thing. I do want to play that. The only game that hasn't really held my interest, granted I haven't played, is 5-Year Mission. Like, that's one I saw it and I said, "Oh, that looks kind of fun." And then I watched a playthrough of it and I'm like, dice luck, like all dice luck, no skill whatsoever. And I'm like, because I've played Castle Panic, which is kind of what Star Trek Panic's based on. And I like Castle Panic. I don't mind the theme. I don't love the theme, but I don't hate the theme. Like, it's a fine theme. But the Star Trek theme of it intrigues me far more than the fantasy theme. But 5-Year Mission just it feels like Elder Sign, the game, and I have Elder Sign, and that's a tough game. But Elder Sign feels like it also has a lot more ways to manipulate your dice, and this 5-Year Mission does not. So yeah. So I do like Castle Panic. I've just held off on buying Star Trek Panic because I was going to buy it, but it was on my Christmas wish list, and I thought I might get it for Christmas, but nobody got it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I got other cool things. I wasn't sad. I was just like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." Like I got King of New York expansion. I got Dominion expansions. Like, I got cool things. I was just, you know, that stuff happens. Um, ugh. But yeah, because I haven't heard a ton of press for Star Trek Panic. Like I know Board Game Geek Game Night did a playthrough of it, and I mean that's a lot of press. But beyond that, it's been pretty quiet. And um I know I'm not like the biggest channel by any means, but what I was able to do for Star Trek Ascendancy, and I mean, I still thank Gale Force 9 for sending me the copy of that. Uh, that's been one of my most viewed videos. I still think it's my most viewed video. And that flabbergasts me. Like that, I'm like, whoa! I did not realize there was that much interest in it. Uh, I still wish the expansions had hit. Uh, my theory there is that they were on a cargo ship and they got tied up. There was this incident where a shipping company went bankrupt, and everything on the cargo vessels is being held for litigation, and that's just a big mess. And so I think Gale Force 9 had to reprint their expansions, and that's just caused delay after delay after delay. So if you're looking for Star Trek Ascendancy theories, conspiracy theories, if anything, it's that. Because I truly don't believe that if you demo a product at Gen Con, that it takes a year for it to come out. I don't believe that. I know there are times, like if you seriously have to go back to the drawing board, they can. But they demoed it and they were previewing it. They put out previews on StarTrek.com and their own website last fall. They had previews coming out like this game or the expansion was releasing. So to me, that said, hey, this is coming any day now. It's going to be here. And then it wasn't. So something went terribly wrong. What went terribly wrong? Who knows? But yeah. Oh, good news. So this weekend, Fremont is doing our pseudo regionals. We will be live streaming. I have a tripod mount for my camera. Will, I know you complained about shaky cam from UK Nationals. That wasn't my fault. I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with that. But I do have a tripod mount, so no shaky cam. I will be playing, so I won't be the one live streaming. But I believe that Robert will be live streaming. I also, you guys will like this, I have lapel mics now. So one of two things will happen. Either the two competitors will be mic'd, or a commentator will be mic'd. And it might even be two commentators. It depends on if there's a buy round or not. If there's a buy round, then whoever's on the buy will probably commentate. Robert's going to be busy doing rules, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I got a good deal on Amazon. I paid like $10-11 for each lapel mic, and I got the tripod mount for like $8. I was like, wow. It was Memorial Weekend. I got a good sale. But lapel mics will also be useful for Origins, because I'm planning on doing some interviews, and all this stuff works with my camera, works with my phone. Yeah. Steve, the regionals start, were scheduled for 11:30 a.m. Pacific, so 2:30 Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. That's on Saturday. So I will hopefully have something up on the Facebook page saying, hey, we're going live. The streaming will be on Facebook Live, not YouTube, because I can't do YouTube. streaming from my phone. I could only do that from my computer. Um, as far as I know, I think there's a way to do it off of my phone, but that's just messier. And the Facebook streaming, I know exactly how to do that. So I would rather know how to do it from my phone than have to worry about setting something else up. Um, yeah. So, if I mic players, there are certain players like myself who are clean the whole time, because I don't swear much. Like this isn't me filtering myself for uh, for YouTube. This is just how I talk. Uh, I just swear occasionally when I'm like super mad or super in the heat of the moment, but even then it's like just a one word done. I don't go on swearing tirades or anything. There are other players who just it's part of their vocabulary. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. It's just how they talk, and I've accepted that about people. I don't see it as this big negative or anything. It's just who they are. So I would probably not mic those people just because of what we're in for with them. But uh, you just gotta. I roll with the punches. Like I hear that stuff and I go, ah, yeah. Um, it's just who people are. And I chalk it up to that. But you're right. I wouldn't want to post that because I do try to keep the channel family friendly, and I do try to cut out as much of the swearing as possible. I know some stuff slipped during the 24-hour marathon, um, but that's what happens. I couldn't catch every little thing in editing. Um, and I can't catch every little thing in live streams. That's why when I do the commentary, I do keep the player audio very low. But there's times you can hear stuff, and I it comes out, and I hope that most people aren't offended by a word that's not directed at them. Right? It's one thing when you just hear a word and you go, oh, okay, yeah, fine. It's another thing when you're the one being sworn out or cursed out. Like, that I can completely understand. Like, I don't like being cursed out. uh, I don't think anybody does. If you do, uh, I don't know. That seems weird to me. But hey, uh, I'd rather uplift people than beat people down. I I try. I try my best at that. It is it's one of the hardest things that I deal with, being the active admin in the Star Trek Attack Wing community on Facebook, being the public figure of the shipyard and warp core breach, and just being myself. Is sometimes I just want to call people out and say, you know what? You're just being an idiot. Cut it out. And there's times like I will message people and just say, you know what? You're out of line. Just deal with it. But there's times I want to go into chat and or just go into public and just like stoop to other people's levels. But I can't do that. I want to. I really want to. It's super tempting. But I can't. Uh, but I do it sometimes. And that's not good. It's not a good thing to do because uh, um, right, it's not that I'm trying to be better than somebody, I'm trying to hold myself to a higher standard, and anyways, I could get down on that. I hope you guys understand where I'm at with that. It's a tricky balance sometimes, and, being an admin for anything is tough, and I didn't realize how complicated it was when I took the job. I mean, I'm glad I have it because I've been able to uh, diffuse more problems than I've started. I mean, I've started some problems, but for the most part, I'm able to diffuse things because at the end of the day, I am a person who does diffuse things because I do take a logical approach and I do evaluate everything, but I'm able to take into account emotions and yeah. Yeah, Will, I do not get the reference. Botero though, that is that's not a good Oh, running it through a translator, that's awesome. At least he had a good sense of humor, right? Um, that that's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Okay. See, I never learned Klingon. I don't have enough of a nerd card that I should, but all right. I'm gonna end things on a high note. I've been live for a little over an hour, and I have enjoyed all of this thoroughly. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate all of you taking a bit of your time to chat with me, and um, thank you all. Uh, Thank you for sharing my birthday with me. I do appreciate it. Um, and I will be back tomorrow with a video. As for now, I'm going to go get some free birthday frozen yogurt because, well, that's one of the perks of having a birthday during the summer. All right. Thank you guys. And, stay positive. New rules are coming at some point, and when they do, I think good things are coming for this game. I, I I do thoroughly believe that. All right. On that lovely note, I am out. Uh, and again, thank you.